All right, y'all, it's 1:30, so I'm going to go ahead and get started unless you let me know that there was another presentation butting up right against it and I should wait a minute.
You're all set to go.
Okay, cool. So I really like this to be a conversation, so feel free to unmute yourselves. I have the chat open, but I might get a little distracted, so if you just unmute and let me know. I don't know, I think GoToWebinar is one with the raise hand function. I won't see it, so just feel free to ask me any questions throughout the session. Sound good, y'all? Hate not being able to see your faces. Just as a note, I'm in Atlanta right now, so we're about to have thunderstorms come through. So if my internet gets spotty, I'm really sorry. And let's see if my dogs bark like now, and if a cat jumps through, thus is life right now. So I am Brittney Romanson. I am the Director of Admissions and Recruitment for Rollins School of Public Health at Emory University. I also graduated from the program about a decade ago. So it's been quite a long time since I've written my own personal statement, but I have read plenty of them over my time. So this session today is really focused on preparing a strong personal statement for graduate school. Now, I'm prefacing it with a lot of the examples I'm giving is public health because that's what I do and where I live. So you would just swap out your subject matter. It'd be the same thing unless you're doing like medical school or a doctoral program. There are a little bit of nuances about that, and you can email me offline about that. I'm happy to chat with you. Sound good, everyone? Get this started. Okay, so today I'm going to go through just an agenda of crafting your personal statement. So what you want to do is you'd identify your interest, you do your research. I really want you to focus on authenticity and use your resources and write again and keep it in perspective. So it's just a basic overview. I think it gets overwhelming because you're like, I just want to shine, I want to stand out. And this is a good way to really just hone it in and think, okay, it's a craft. Like, this is what I do. It's my personal story. So first, you're going to identify your interests. The best way to do this is to think about the whys. So for us, I would say, why public health? Why now? Why Rollins? Really think about why the subject matter is. Why are you applying right now? And why is it the specific school that you're applying to? So some really good things to think about would be, how did you first learn about the fields that you're interested in? Have you identified a specific interest that you're thinking about? Do you like water sanitation? Do you like infectious disease? What have you? What about studying at that school that you're interested in really stands out to you and how it relates to the research and the practice agenda that it has? So when you're looking at schools, I think a lot of people have not a misconception, but they really think about the education. So know that wherever you're going, you're looking at peer institutes. So you're going to get a phenomenal education wherever you go. The faculty are top tiered. If you really like the curricula, you're really going to get a great education. You're going to invest in it. When you're thinking about graduate schools and comparing them to one another, you're really thinking about the vibe of the school. So really about the vibe, I mean, what do they do? So a lot of schools might be theory-based, which means you're sitting in the classroom learning the theory, which is great. Some might be practice-based, where you're actually going out, and some might be a hybrid of the two. When we look at public health, you're really thinking about a hybrid because you have to learn the theory and you have to be able to implement it. I always advocate for practice because you just need to be able to know what you're doing. You don't want your resume to stalemate. That being said, research is sometimes your own practice. So if you're doing your own individualized research, you are practicing. So you just have to take those components in mind. When you're thinking about your future, this is a huge thing that comes into the personal statement to really help you hone in on everything. So what about your future? Why are you applying to graduate school? Do you want to do field work? Do you want to do research? Do you want to do data scientist? Are you that person that really wants to get out into the community and implement? Or do you want to evaluate programs that are already existing? Do you want to do that health education? Like, what at your core really interests you? Right. Any questions so far? We're on like a path of self-discovery right now. All right. So once you kind of figure out what you like, and for me, I'm just going to jump back a little bit. When you're thinking about graduate school, think about a 5-year plan after graduate school. Where do you see yourself after 5 years? Do you see yourself working with communities? Do you see yourself behind a desk? Do you see yourself at a corporation or at a nonprofit? What education is going to get you to the step that you want to take? What populations do you like to work with? Women and children? Do you like working internationally? Different communities? Those are things to really think about and will down. So you really have to go through that self-discovery portion before entering into your personal statement. The thing that I say that really helps me and helps others sometimes is kind of purge it all down. Sometimes it's verbally, or sometimes it's written, and you just kind of free write and you're like, why am I in this? And then once you're writing it all down, it kind of is a brain dump and you're piecing it together. And you're like, okay, like this goes with this. This is great. I can thread it all together and make a really nice 2 to 3 page personal statement. The research component. This is a huge component that I think a lot of students miss, or sometimes are like, I'm going to look at this and then take this like one highlight and write it into my personal statement. And it's like, oh, okay, like I see that you saw that article. Great job. But when you're thinking about the field that you're interested in, you want to look at the timely news and you want to look at journal articles that are being presented. So one example would be if you are writing about something public health related, let's say a pandemic that might be going on right now. Recent news has come out that COVID-19 might actually be a blood vessel disorder that's affecting, so instead of being respiratory, it's affecting the blood vessels. If you're telling me you're interested in infectious disease, I would be looking to, okay, did you include that? Are you looking at the ways that people are putting that timely news in? Granted, if you are submitting your personal statement and then the news comes out that like it's a blood vessel disorder, I'm not going to dock you for not predicting the future. Like, we don't know. It's just trying to showcase that you're keeping up with current research. And then that goes along with journal articles. You always want to look at the journal articles. I know a lot of journals you have to pay for, but you should have access to them through your undergraduate institutions. Bonner might actually have some resources for you that you could reach out to and get access to those journal articles or archives. So the institution, this is really important that a lot of people miss. You want to research the specific school that you're going to. What I mean by that is language. And one easy example that I always see is program names. So in public health, we decide we don't want to have the same names for programs across schools of public health. It's really frustrating. So at Rollins, we have what's called behavioral sciences and health education. At Tulane, they have community health. If you would be applying to both schools, that's generally the 2 programs that you'd be interested in looking at. Now, if you write in your personal statement, I really want to go to Emory because I really want to study in the Department of Community Health. I'm like, oh, you're applying to Tulane too. Interesting. So you might think, okay, I have to change the school name. Yes, 100% you do. But you also have to look at the department that you're applying to, especially if schools have name departments. Like for us, the Hubert Department of Global Health, you want to include that full name. It really showcases that you're investing into the research of the institution and kind of getting the nitty gritty. And what I was talking about before, the pedagogical approach, That'd be how people teach. So is it a theory-based school? Is it a practice-based? Is it a hybrid? That's something to know and kind of put in there and say, I really want to go to Rollins because I really like how even while you're teaching the theory in class, you're getting that practical experience by having the projects be based in community work, actual projects, not theory. You can learn about that pedagogical approach by talking to faculty members, but also talking to current students and be like, what do you do? Are you learning just the theory, or are you implementing what you're learning? And then you're looking at the program itself. So if you tell me, I'm really interested in epidemiology, I really like it because I go out into the community and I talk with community members and I make all these programs. I'm like, that's not epidemiology. Epidemiology is like contact tracing and predictive modeling. So you really want to know what you're applying to, what's the impact that the study has on what you're doing. So always think of that, the impact. Okay, I'm going to pause for questions. And I know I'm like staring blindly at y'all. Like, really, don't be afraid to ask questions. This is your time. All right. Big thing, be authentic. I can smell BS from a mile away. All admissions counselors can. We've read a bunch of these, so I know when you're like just not being yourself. Even though we've seen like just resumes and like numbers and things, you really tell when someone's trying too hard and just not being themselves. It's much better to be yourself because that's what we're looking for. So who are you? You really want to personalize it. The thing to note is that most graduate schools or master programs don't offer interviews. And this is the only time that your own voice is coming through. You can actually let your personality shine. So when you're thinking about your resume and things like that, yes, like you're in there, but it's very like structured. Resumes are bullet points. You have to have the impact in there. You have to have numbers. It's just kind of core stuff. It's just like blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't tell me who you are. I can't hear your voice. And that's what I really like to hear. I want to know what's motivating you to come. Like, who are you? Why are you coming here? What's your lived experience? You really also want to stay away from a confessional. Since I've been doing this, have used my brother as an example. He does not know that I do this. He is my younger brother though, so I am enacting older sister privileges. So my brother was applying to graduate school and emailed me or texted me off the cuff and was like, hey, mom said that maybe you should like look over my application or something. So do you mind doing that? And in my head, I'm like, I mean, yeah, I am a director of admissions at a top 5 school, but sure, like, yeah, I think that would be a good idea if I looked at your personal statement because I can help you with that. So he sends me the personal statement and it's like 6 pages long. And I'm like, okay, first off, like we're going to have to whittle it down. I can help you with that. And I start reading it. And my brother's applying for a program in environmental sciences. The end of the story is that he actually got in. So don't worry about it. Like I helped him and he's great and excelling halfway through his program. But my brother is writing this personal statement and I'm reading it and I'm like, okay, cool. Like great stuff. Why I'm interested, specific school. Okay. A little bit more why I'm interested. He had a big gap in between university, like in between the 4 years and in between university and applying to graduate school. And of course, he wanted to know why that was and his journey of self-discovery. Well, my brother starts it with, I had to take some time off because I got a little bit into drugs. And I was like, okay. And he's like, I tried this, and then I tried this, and then I started getting into this, and it was like 6 pages of like discovery into drug use. And then it came full circle and said, and this is why I'm ready for graduate school. And I came through it and I was like, ooh, this is not a therapy session. This is probably really therapeutic for you to write down and get through for yourself. but that's not something that admissions counselors really need to hear right now. That's a little bit way too much information. So great, like whittle those pages down to like maybe a quick sentence of like, I lost myself for a little bit, but now I'm back, or this is what's going on. Think about the context and not the content itself. Like you just want to kind of summarize it. So any questions about that? I have a lot of students who ask me if they're survivors of sexual assault, if that's something they should put in. I say, if you are doing sexual assault research and that's a driving factor, more than happy to put that in. If that's part of your story, that's great. It really helps me understand that you would be an advocate because you have background. That's not saying that you should put it in. I'm just saying it's something that will actively drive you why you're researching something. Does that make sense? It's about the context of it. Okay, so another background of that would be, so you have the opposite of getting too personal. It'd be just recounting your resume. I can read your resume. Trust me, I've read it like 4 times. So what I want to know a little bit more is about your journey. You just don't want to go through like, I went to undergrad, I did this, I researched this, I went to this, I was a TA, and I'm like, okay, like I literally just read that on your resume. The way most applications work is that we see your transcripts, then we see your resume, and then we see your personal statement, and then we see your references. So by the time we get to your personal statement, we've already seen your resume. So we kind of see a little bit about you. When I talk about describing your journey, it's really, yeah, Carlene, go ahead.
Yes. So I'm sorry, you mentioned the transcript, and
yes.
I have a question about that because my freshman year, I did really bad. But then throughout the 3 years, I've been able to raise my GPA to be an honor student. So how important do you think it is that I did so bad freshman year?
I don't think it's okay. I was going to just say, I don't think it's important. The reason I was coming out so bluntly to say that was because you showcased your journey. Coming from high school into college is a huge change. So we understand that. I think a big thing to remember is that we're not robots. They're human beings behind these admissions decisions. So we're reading everything. We have patience, we have humility. I hope that most of us do. We have understanding. So you're showcasing that journey. Now, most applications will have a section. We have what's called SOFIS. It's basically the common application for schools of public health. In that actual application, there's a section like, is there anything you want to tell us? Sometimes people put in that they did poorly because of the death of a family member, or they got sick, something was happening, and that's a big like trigger. And sometimes that's really helpful because if you take a leave of absence and we just see a gap, maybe that's like, okay, thank you, that's helpful. But if we're seeing the trajectory of like, it's exactly freshman year and then your grades build up and the end result is this, it's just growth. That's what we want to see. You're resilient, you're pushing forward. It was just like a hurdle that you had to get through. So don't beat yourself up about it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. Okay, let's see. In describing your journey, is it better to talk about one particular experience and go into the specifics, or to create a streamlined narrative of 2 to 3 experiences and what led to your purpose and passion? I think it's really up to you. So one person might have this one experience that really highlighted them into their like reason for going to graduate school. I'd say like return Peace Corps volunteers. That's usually one big thing that happened, or a family member was sick and that was a very defining moment. someone had a chronic disease and this is why I want to go into medicine, or I had cancer as a child and this is why I want to be a pediatric oncologist now. Sometimes it's very like, boom, this was it. And I saw the Holy Grail and this is what I want to do. For me, that was not it. Public health didn't exist as a major or minor. So I didn't know what it was when I was going through undergrad. I was a biochemistry and human services double major, so research and counseling. I wanted to be a pediatric oncologist. So all of my internships, everything like that was in the clinical field, usually on the oncology floor. And when I was maybe a junior, right after I applied to medical school, I jumped on a study looking at perinatally infected HIV adolescents. And I was doing a qualitative study, which means like interviews and talking to people. And I really liked what I was doing, what I was hearing, the impact I was making. So I was talking to my principal investigator. She was like, you seem to really enjoy this. And I was like, I do. I really like that I'm creating this program. It'll have a societal impact. So I can take it from this arena to this arena and like really just understand communities and get involved and just have that societal impact. Whereas if I was going to medical school, yes, it's definitely what I want to do. And I would have like an individual impact, like many individual impacts, but this would be a very societal impact. She looked at me and she was like, you know, that's public health, right? And I was like, no, I have no idea what that is. And I was like, the health of the public, cool. Like, yeah, you just made it the plural of individual health. Like, awesome. And so she's like, no, look it up. And so I looked it up and I was like, oh, this is it. Like, this is exactly it. This is everything that I'm looking for. So my journey was really like this and this and this and this. So I came to public health through my interest of medicine, but also through my interest of counseling. So that streamlined it together. So it really is up to you. I think that students get really worried about setting themselves apart. So y'all, like, I can see it usually on your faces when I'm doing workshops, that I start this out and you're getting imposter syndrome, like as I'm talking to you, because you're thinking about how to stand out and like, am I good enough for graduate school? I don't know, like, blah, blah, blah. You are, like, you're here, you did it, like, you're ready, apply, like, believe in yourself. I know it's really difficult to do because it's this like weird, like, I'm literally applying to be judged by these admissions counselors. Like, no, you're applying to further your education. And when you're thinking about setting yourself apart, think about your own lived experience. Even if you took the same classes and did the same internships, your perspective going into it is completely different than the person sitting next to you. So that's your own lived experience. You're setting yourself apart by just talking about your own lived experience and being yourself and being authentic. Does that help? Yeah. Yeah, I'm always here for these mini counseling sessions. And that's why I say I smell the BS when you are writing about like the hope of trying to set yourself apart. It gets very like kind of like haughty. It's like, I did this and I did this. And I'm like, that's great. But like, who are you? Like, what are you doing? What's your life? Like, what makes you excited about going into public health or graduate school? Those are really the key components and puts in that humanity. All right, so let's see. So yeah, I know imposter syndrome is awful. I got it when I was 2 years into my full-time position as a public health practitioner. So not even when I was a student, it was actually while I was working, and I was like, I shouldn't be here, I'm a fraud. So it takes a while to get out of it, but just believe in yourself, which is really difficult. And if you need someone to talk to, like, always reach out to me or friends or anyone like that. When you're describing your journey, so we're being authentic, we're talking about everything. When did you first become interested in the field that you're interested in? Is it that clarifying moment, or is that journey that takes you there? What drives you to be an agent of change? What gets you excited? What gets that fire burning? What makes you like want to get up and like right now, get to your computer and log on to Zoom and like do your classes. Or what are you like, I can't wait to be able to go out into the community, social distanced, and be able to help out. Like, what are you excited about? What makes you tick? And then what impact are you going to make? I always get leery about saying this because people are like, oh my gosh, I have to have this whole plan. I was that person that was like, I'm interested in all facets of public health. I'm interested in water sanitation. I'm interested in sexual health. I'm interested in mental health. So this impact was very scary for me because I was like, I don't have this one thing. But what we're talking about when we're saying what type of impact will you make, we're meaning on the campus, and in general in the field of public health. So you have right now an interest in like, yes, I want to go to public health because I want to make a societal change. There, that's an impact right there. It's like, I want to make a societal change. I don't know what yet. That's why I'm going to graduate school, because I need to learn a little bit more. You don't need to have that graduate education before you're applying to graduate school. That's why you're getting this education. But you have like this kind of like, ooh, I kind of want to do this. And that's why you're going to supplement your education to get to your dream. Talk about that. When we talk about on your campus, this is something that a lot of students miss. When you're going to a graduate school, a graduate program is anywhere from a year to like 5 years. For us, it's a 2-year program. So you will be at the school for 2 years. Atlanta will now be your community for 2 years. Why are you coming here? What kind of impact are you going to make? Are you going to volunteer? Do you want to go on student organizations? Why are you coming to Atlanta? Why are you coming to Emory? What sort of things do you want to do? So just know that like, yes, it's not undergrad. You're not going to do 4 years and really be able to invest your time, but you are going to make small changes. And it's just, why do you want to come? Maybe it's just because you really like the diversity of place you're going to, both in the students, in the culture, in the typography, like what drives you to apply to the school. All right, any questions?
I do have a quick.
Yeah, here you go.
All right. So I've been thinking about kind of how do you communicate with grad school with kind of COVID happening and possible lost hands-on opportunities and not really knowing. Personally, I'm a STEM major, so just kind of navigating how to communicate that with the summer's lost opportunities and not knowing kind of what the fall will bring.
Yeah, I'd say the easy answer to that is that everyone's in it right now. We all understand what's happening, lost opportunities. If y'all could see, my laptop is literally on an ironing board right now in an empty room. So I don't have an office. I'm not with y'all. So we're all being affected. Affected. We're not going to all be infected. Affected in the same way. So we have that grace and patience to know, like, yes, our campuses are shut down, especially in STEM, like everyone's affected the same way. Funding's being rerouted. You might be redetailed to work on something else. It's just, you can say it, you can be like, listen, like, we're on lockdown, like this is what I was doing, but I'm really excited to get started again and do this. We had return Peace Corps volunteers. All Peace Corps volunteers were sent back to the States. So I have people that were there for like a month and were like, hey, like had a Peace Corps experience, but now I don't. So what do I do? How do I explain that? You still are impacted by it. Like, what are you doing right now? I'd say like, some things that people can be doing is staying up to, not up to code. Sorry, English is my second language. So sometimes I'm like, help me out with the words, up to like what's going on in the field. So if there's current research going on or journal articles, or you're like, I took the time to like, I don't know, take another online class or watch a bunch of YouTube videos, or just like, I'm trying to figure out this world right now. Now we're just in this weird, like halfway open, halfway not. I'm not really sure where to go. But I think the big thing to remember is that we're all in it. and it has a significant impact. So everyone will offer the patience and grace that everyone is due in this. So I really wouldn't worry about it.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Anyone else? I do this weird thing where I like realize I'm looking at my tile, but then looking like directly at this, like the camera. So I'm sorry if I'm making weird eye contact with everyone. Okay, let's see. Common mistakes, yay. And how are we on time? Okay, cool. This is a really basic summary of everything. And I don't know if Sunny said this already or if you got note of it, but you do get this presentation. So just pay attention and know that you'll get all of this. A lot of things. So redundancy, oversimplicity, or irrelevant details, like doing a lot of drugs, like don't really need to know all that. If you're oversimplifying it, sometimes that's kind of not condescending, but realize that faculty members are reading it. So if you're explaining to me like what public health is, like I know, you don't need to give me the definition of it, but you can tell me why you want to go into it. That kind of goes into like the arrogance factor of like, I'm so great. It's this weird balance of like actually believing yourself without like being like weird. I think everyone knows that one person in class that they're like, oh, that person always doing that thing. Don't be that person in your personal statement. Like just be yourself. Controversial or argumentative just for the sake of it. Public health is a great arena because we can be very political, like abortion rights, things like that. People can have stances on that, and we very much have to talk about that in the field of public health. So political is like something I live in, gun laws, everything. So I am very used to reading personal statements about that, talking about it, things like that. I'd say like pushing buttons just to push buttons. Like, you know, sometimes you're at the dinner table with your family and someone says something and you're like, I could take this opportunity for education, or I could just throw this singer out there and get the blood boiling. Personal statement's not a time to throw that singer out there. Like, use it for education. We want to know why you're driving to be an agent of change. Plagiarism, pretty simple. Don't plagiarize. Humor or negativity. I think sometimes like I err on the side of dark humor just in my general life. But sometimes the personal statement is not the time to try out your new comedy routine. Yes, I might laugh, and thank you for that, because sometimes like I'm crying during these things. But just be cautious about it. And negativity, when I'm talking about negativity, I'm talking about like the world is doomed and I don't know why I'm applying to go to public health because everything's going to get defunded anyway. We're all going to die. And I'm like, ooh, like we're supposed to be pushing the conversation forward and like getting out there, and you're doomsdaying us right now. So it's like a weird balance. I love going over the common mistakes to avoid, but it also gets y'all in your head a little bit too much. I think it's just basic writing principles. Think about like reading it, reading someone else's personal statement and knowing that you don't know the person. The only thing I know about you is your grades, your resume, and then this. So this would be your first impression. Any questions here? We usually get questions about the controversial or argumentative, so please feel free to, yeah.
Yeah, I have a quick question. So imagine if somebody wrote like a senior thesis or a paper on a controversial topic. Is that something appropriate to still mention? Okay, cool.
It's great. Yep, it's great. I think, so it used to be really easy to give examples of this, but right now it's kind of difficult because everyone's kind of like on the same beam of things. But yeah, if it's educational base, lived experience base, things like that. Anything that's pulling you towards that educational opportunity. You always want to use your controversial topic to push you forward in education. Make sense? Okay. Let's see. Okay, use your resources. Start early. We've got a lot of time on our hands, y'all. Like, you can write your personal statement over the summer. I always say that. I was that person that started late. So I know y'all are hearing it from everyone. Like, start your application early. Look how much time you have. If you want to like sit in your bed and eat Cheetos because like that's the world we live in right now, go for it. Like, write your personal statement when you're ready for it, but also allow your hand. Yes. And am I pronouncing your name properly? I like trying to get really close to the screen, but I get really creepy with my glasses.
It's okay. You can just call me Car.
Okay, cool.
But the grad school that I want, one of the grad schools that I want to go to, it's American University, and I want to go for international service.
Perfect.
You get me.
Yeah, I got it.
They don't really require a GRE score. So what do you think we should do to make our like application a little bit stronger since we don't have that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. A lot of schools across the board have made the GRE optional for fall 2020 and fall 2021. So even that we had a lot of schools are starting to do away with the GRE already. A lot of schools have just made it optional right now. A lot of it's because of the safety. Testing sites are closed. It's really hard to get an electronic test. So I'll answer it in two different questions. The first is I always have follow-up, like, what if I already took the GRE? Should I add it? Yes, the GRE can only help you. It can't hurt you. But that's why we make it optional, because we don't want you to go out and risk your safety to take this test that shows no predictive and is very biased. Not that I said that as director of admissions. I know this is being recorded, so hello, everyone. So what I would say to make yourself stand out is you really think about the holistic nature of it. Usually the GRE from an admission standpoint is used if I see like maybe your quantitative classes were a little bit low, I'll look at your GRE to see how that is, or like verbal. If your GRE verbal's low, I'm going to look at your personal statement. We use the GPAs and the classes, the things like that in tandem with the GRE. Again, standardized testing is
stupid.
Yep. It is. It's very controversial. And I think after people go through admission cycles with this being optional, we can really see that it's not predictive of student success. We're really just looking to see if you'll be successful in a graduate school program. So the two ways to do that is really talking in your personal statement. It would be the proofreading of it. So utilizing that personal statement as like your verbal score almost. And then the GRE is supposed to predict student success in graduate school. So the only way to really do that is to have faculty or community members or your supervisor through your recommendation say, yes, this person would be successful in a graduate school program. They're ready for the rigorous program. So just having someone say that will go leaps and bounds. Okay. So when I tell people asking for recommendations, I specifically ask them to ask the recommenders to say if they could speak to their success in a graduate school program. And so like your supervisor would be able to talk about how you work in teams, more of that like on the ground component of it. Yeah. So we're looking for that duality of it.
Yeah, I already have my Bonner director ready to write that.
Awesome. Yes. Great work. But yeah, I'd say the personal statement, because like when you think about it, classes and GPAs are already done. Like y'all did it. Unless y'all are like freshmen, sophomores, you still have a chance to change. But like the score's already done. The class is already taken. Don't worry about it. Personal statement and your references are the things that you can actually control. So let's see. Resources. Start early. A lot of time on your hands. Maybe you might be taking classes or just working nonstop, but just when it hits you that it like that I'm ready, I know how to talk about my story right now, I'd say just write it down. Visit the school's website. This is where you're going to learn about that language, the culture, opportunities, that current research that's going on. There's things that you can plug in or help inform your personal statement. I always say talk to current students. That is really helpful to learn what you're actually doing in class. You can talk to me as an admissions counselor. I'm going to tell you like the admissions requirement, but you can talk to me as an alum. But I took classes, again, more than 10 years ago. So it's not the same. But you want to have that well-roundedness of like, what do I know about the school? And that's for you because you want to make sure it's a good vibe for you. You want to be successful there and you want to feel comfortable. You want to feel like you can be yourself so you can focus on your education. I'd say source at least 2 readers and definitely be receptive to feedback. It's really difficult to hear feedback sometimes, but I would say choose an expert and a non-expert. By that, I mean in the field that you're applying for. So the person that is an expert can say like, yes, this speaks to public health, this speaks to the impact that you're making. I understand the difference of epidemiology and behavioral sciences, and you've explained it quite well. The non-expert would be someone that could speak to the writing, but also what I say to do is when you have that non-expert person, it could be a friend, I try to say stay away from parents because it's a little skewed, but someone that can actually give you honest feedback. That non-expert, I say, can you write down the top 3 to 5 qualities that this personal statement like exudes, and then when you look back, like qualities, personal characteristics, and then when they list them down, you can see, is that how I see myself, and is that what I want the admissions committee to see myself? So you can utilize that non-expert to really say, like, is my voice coming through? Am I coming through? And then expert to say, okay, am I talking about the field correctly? How's that sound, y'all? Awesome. Write and write again. It is a process. One, you will never get it right on the first time. 100%. Sorry, y'all. That's just it. Also, you're going to be submitting a personal statement that you're not happy with. You're going to be like, I could write it again. I could do it again. I could do like a little more. You got to write your personal statement for like years. At some point, you just have to submit it. So what I say, 2 drafts. Really, you're thinking of, you're doing a brain dump. So that's one. And then you write your first draft and then you put it down for a few days up to a week, take it back up and then write down your second draft. Then you're going to proof it, get your expert, non-expert, everyone in who's going to help you with that. Then you're going to review it one more time. Then you're going to have your completed statement. Try not to go into the cycle of edits. You just want a tight story that just is you. So again, you can take a lot of different angles. You can have like 6 personal statements if you wanted to, but I don't want you to overthink it and just know that even if you're like, I don't know, you're always going to feel that way with any personal statement that you're sending in. You're going to be vulnerable. So it's really difficult sometimes to be vulnerable, and sometimes you just gotta put yourself out there. Questions? Okay. So I want to talk about holistic admissions, kind of like the behind the scenes of admissions process. So y'all are submitting your applications, and then this is kind of what's going on our end. All schools should be practicing holistic admissions right now. So this is a good overview of it. So there are a lot of factors into us building our classes. Some students don't know all the factors. So I really like to put that landscape out there. We're thinking about like big things like the program. Are you a fit for the program itself? If you are not data strong, you should not be going into an epidemiology program that's all data. I think a lot of that part comes from people listening to someone telling them what they should do. My parents were very big advocates for me going to medical school. So when I told them I don't want to go to medical school, even though I got into medical school and I'm going to public health, that was a very difficult conversation. and kind of have to stay true to that, and just know, like, what do you want to do? Because this is your life. Where are you going to be happy? Where are you going to be successful? So you're looking at the size too. So every school has to have a particular size. It has to do with like building codes. It has to do with classroom space. It has to do with the faculty to student ratio. There are all these factors. So we all have a number that we want to keep in mind, and that would be keeping the school going with tuition costs, and making sure that you're getting the experience that you want. And that number can change every single year. We won't ever tout that number because, like, it's, again, changing, but know that there's like a cap that we're like, okay, we physically can't have any more students in this school. When you're thinking about the cohort, we're thinking about how did the cohorts mesh together. So you have a particular class, how will that diversity work together? We want a range of different perspectives. We want to make sure the conversations are rich, the experiences are rich. So we're looking at that gelling of everyone together. And then also the huge thing is a number of applicants. If we have a lot of people applying, and we might be way more selective because we're able to do so. If we're not having a lot of people applying, then we might not be as selective because we still need to make our numbers. And that's just the reality of admissions. I like to say I'm also not trained in admissions. I'm a public healther, so I kind of just like pull back the curtain for y'all and be like, this is the reality of it. So when you're looking at all of those factors together, that's what's really going to the holistic admission. So in order to build the cohort, we need to know who you are. We're looking at your academics, your test scores, your references, your personal statement all together equally. Your voice is going to come through that personal statement. So I put more weight on that to learn who you are, and that's going to really help me know if you're a right fit for the program as well as the cohort. So that's really where it shines. Any questions about this? I'm really happy to talk a lot about it. I think also, yep, that is my last slide. So I am open to y'all for however long you need.
I have a question.
Yes.
Since you've been so helpful, what can we possibly email you even if we're not going into public health?
Yes.
Yes, cool.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are some of the programs within the School of Public Health more like competitive or selective than others?
That really has to go with the size of the program. So some schools might have really small cohorts, and their faculty ratio might be a little bit smaller, and that's where the competitive comes from. It also has to do with the number of applicants. So depending on the year, you might have like, I don't know, hundreds of people applying to epidemiology, while you only have like 20 people applying to behavioral sciences and health education. I'd say if you're looking at something science-based, it's usually more competitive because people know what it is, and it's like, okay, this is what I wanted to do. But it's usually because of the number of applicants that's going on.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I'd say a good thing too, so everyone was asking about like acceptance numbers, how many applicants can we expect, how do I know if I'm applying to like a competitive year? Every graduate school usually falls in between a 50% acceptance rate, and that's pretty much the standard of graduate schools across the board. So you can think 50-50 chance, which sounds scary, but it's graduate school. You're looking for your fit. That's why you're applying to multiple programs. And if you have your heart set on one, then you're like gonna go straight to that one. The economy is a huge thing. So I was looking at graduate school right when the start of the recession was happening. So I graduated undergrad and there were like no jobs to be had. So everyone was applying to graduate school. If the economy is doing really well, then a lot of people are going to stay in their job because they have competitive salaries or they're able to get their salaries. If I could tell you what the year is going to be like, I would be like an all-star director and everyone would be able to like figure out this like key to admissions. But that's why you have like whole admissions teams, because we don't know, we can't predict the future. We can only work together to figure out. But the economy is usually a huge thing. Okay, let's see. Can you talk about your medical school application process experience and what would you suggest for pre-med students to focus on? Really depends on what type of medicine you're looking at and the school. So for me, when I was applying to medical school, like cultural humility and things like that weren't really a thing. They were kind of being buzzed about, but I wrote all about that. I wrote about the like access to healthcare. As you can see, I wrote a very public, healthy medical school application. But I think it really depends on you. Again, it's the same thing. If you have a school that's really focused on the academics, I would lean more towards the research that you're going to. Some people might be getting an MD to be a researcher. And some people might be getting an MD to do the actual residency and practice. So it's really up to you. It's that same like lived journey. Look at the school and see what they're focusing on.
I had a quick question for letters of recommendations.
Yes.
Would you, for those letters, do you want kind of like a wide, or is it like good idea to have like a wide breadth of like people you ask for recommendation, like a professor, someone you worked with, someone maybe like a supervisor? Like, would you recommend like having a wide breadth of people you ask?
I would, because that really helps with seeing you as a well-rounded person, someone who's talking about your academic life versus someone who's talking about your like work experience. You might show up in different ways there, and it really helps me see you as a like whole individual. That being said, make sure you look at the requirements of the school you're applying to. Some schools will say we need 2 letters from faculty and 1 from a supervisor. And some schools will say it's up to you. If it's up to you, I would say like do that well-roundedness.
Question. Faculty also counts as just like people who work at the university, not just professors.
Correct.
Unless they like
unless they specify that it has to be someone who taught you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question, but it's more, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I have a question more towards like the healthcare management, because I know that Emory has like healthcare management in the MPH system. I was going to have an internship in healthcare management, and I know some schools are like, talk to me about your experience in it, but now I don't have experience. What's one way I can get around that, like writing that in my personal statement?
Yeah. So it's still about your journey. You had experience like all before that. I think a lot of students, focus on the like I didn't have this one thing, like research. People are like, I didn't have research experience. What we're looking for is the skills that you are gaining from that research experience. So you've done research as an undergraduate in your classes, things like that. When you're looking at like extracurriculars or leadership experience, I have students who sometimes are the caregivers of their family, so they can't invest more of their time outside of their academics, but they're still gaining leadership experience. They're still gaining working with communities, things like that. It's taking the soft skills that you're learning and being able to implement them into your personal statement. So you have the experience you already need. Like one research experience or that one internship is not going to be the make it or break it for your grad school acceptance.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
And then my question was, would you recommend we reach out to faculty members while we're applying, or is that like, all right, yeah.
Yeah. So yes, our faculty members love to talk to students. I think it's also like the way you would figure out what the like teaching style is. So I always say, reach out to faculty, reach out to students, reach out to alumni. If you are a little nervous about reaching out to faculty, you can always tell the admissions counselor, I'm really interested in talking to this faculty member. Can you connect me with them? Sometimes I say, because our like inboxes are sometimes like route external email addresses somewhere else. So academic advisors and like admissions people will be like, oh yeah, let me forward your email to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
I just want to be conscious of also the group chat and questions that we're getting.
Yes.
So we have 2 right now.
Okay, cool. We did the medical school one. Where would you suggest that I could find more information to understand the pedagogical approach of my desired university? So it usually on like the department pages, you can get curriculum and you can see right there, is it like theory-based classes? Anyone that has a practicum experience or a practical experience embedded in it, that means that they are doing like practice or a hybrid approach. So it's key things like that. The very easy answer would be you could just ask the faculty member and be like, what's the pedagogical approach? I think it's something that everyone should be asking right now, especially if you're doing something more practice oriented. With all the new changes with COVID-19, you really want to make sure you're still getting that experience. So with public health, it's really easy. You wouldn't think so, but it's actually really easy to go into teleworking. We've been doing it for years. With telemedicine and advising different communities and working on data sets. So you want to be able to ask, what will my experience be like? I know you're a practice-oriented institution. That's why I really want to go. What will my practical experiences look like? So you're getting what you want out of it. That being said, a lot of people are asking me, like, what are you doing in the fall? We don't know yet. Every university that I've talked to, and again, primarily have been graduate schools, are ready for fully online, are ready for hybrid programs, and are ready for fully in person. So we're ready to go, but most universities sit under the university umbrella. So like for me, I sit under Emory University. So I don't know what the grad school is going to do until Emory University tells me what they're doing as a whole. So if they're saying like we're fully online and no graduate school can go in person, then my hands are kind of tied. If they're like, we're doing a hybrid program, like, we're doing a hybrid program too. If they're saying we're fully in person, we might say, okay, we might still go with hybrid program based off of like social distancing measures or what have you. So a lot of schools are still kind of waiting. I would say mid-June, like June 15th is when I've been told by the university that we'll have a decision. So just know that schools you're applying to are interested in probably have that then. And then a lot of students are like, I really hated my online classes. Like, I don't want to do that again. Remember that we as faculty members had a week to 2 weeks notice, just like y'all, to change our entire end of spring curriculum to an online-based program. So we were scrambling just as much as y'all to make it something implementable, recording it, being like, okay, final projects have to change. Okay, like this thesis might not happen. So we were all scrambling. Now we have these entire summers and we're bringing in consultants on distance-based learning, things like that. So wherever you're going, even if you're still in school right now, please know that your fall semester will be very different than the end of the spring semester where everyone's like, I have no idea what's going on, because we had no idea what was going on. Surprise, like we're human like you. We have no idea what's going on. Can I speak to financial aid for graduate school and possible nuances you mentioned for doctorate programs? So the doctorate program, and yes, I'll go back to Olivia as well. Let's see, doctorate programs are usually stipend funded. So I would say you have to check with the individual schools because they're grant funded based and they vary significantly. You might have a full funding. You want to ask about all program years. So one school might say, we offer you full funding. It might be full funding for that first year. So you want to make sure you're asking about the entirety of your doctoral program. That's really the only advice I can give, because our doctoral programs are housed in the graduate school, like Laney Graduate School, as opposed to the School of Public Health. So just make sure you check in on that. Let's see, financial aid. The FAFSA, everyone always thinks that it's based off of your parents' finances when you're applying in graduate school. It is not. You are your own individual. So I always say, look into FAFSA. If you're asking admissions counselors if you should put in your FAFSA, we can't actually advise on it. It's illegal for me to tell you anything about your student loan status, your FAFSA status, should you don't you, things like that. So really do your research on the difference between putting in a FAFSA for graduate school versus undergrad, and talking to the financial aid department. But usually academics, we can't advise you on like student loans. Let's see. Another thing about financial aid is national scholarships. So we have the Associations of Schools and Programs of Public Health, and that is our accrediting body. So they list a whole lot of, well, CEF is our accredited body, but we sit underneath it. They list a whole bunch of scholarships that are applicable to all schools of public health. So you want to look at those types of scholarships as well. That's helpful for you. In general though, funding scholarships and things like that for graduate school is a lot less than undergraduate, but again, it's less time. So you want to look at the cost comparisons. And also as Bonner Scholars, the majority of schools will give you scholarships for that. So like for Rollins, we give you a $10,000 scholarship as well as Rollins Earn and Learn position. Let's see. What's something that you would recommend for prospective public health graduate students to spend time doing in the summer? That is a great question. Usually I would say get out there, work in the community, things like that. Right now, you could sign up to be a contact tracer with COVID. You could do some research articles. A lot of public health institutions have gone fully online, as in like Task Force for Global Health, CARE, CDC is fully online right now, unless you're working on like a wet lab or being a contact tracer. But like our preparedness unit is online and consulting. So you can work for your local health department, helping with testing, just little things like that. But the local health department is probably your best starting point. And then going from there, any nonprofit work that you want to do is a great thing as well. Advocacy work is something very prominent that if you're going to public health, you will be an advocate for all sorts of communities. So getting out there in whatever way possible that you can, virtually or physically. I know physically is a little odd right now, but a lot of institutions have shifted to be online. So you should be able to get a little bit more information there. If you want to talk more about that, Olivia, I think you were the one who submitted that, please email me and I can send you some resources. And we have what's called Public Health Employment Connection. I have the actual email address or the URL address, so you can email me and I can send that to you and you can kind of see what's going on. Let's see. Any other questions, y'all? I think the biggest thing I want to say to everyone is like, I know it's scary. Like, I really know it is. You're putting yourself out there, but it's for your education. And I say, just take the jump, like do it. You deserve to have an education that will put you into the career that you want. You deserve to be a change agent in this world. We want to hear your voice. We want to have your experience push the conversations forward. And now more than ever, we need it. So please believe in yourself and make that application. And if grad school is not something you want to do, that's okay too. You can get that real world experience and get out there for some time, and maybe you'll come back to grad school. Whatever feels right for you right now, just that's the thing to do. Any questions? Always know you can reach out to me. I think you have my email address. Sunny, will they have my contact information?
Could you re-type it in the chat?
Yes, I can.
Yes, thank you.
Also, Sunny, I had a question for you.
Yes, absolutely.
So, will you email us this presentation right after, or like all together at the end of SLI?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely can, and it will also be posted on the Bonner Learning community, so folks can go in and have access to.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah, no
Hi,
problem.
Horatio. Nice to see you again. And Sunny, I just saw your chat. Thank you so much. Do you want to announce that you got in?
Sure. Yeah,
Not to put you on the spot.
I just want to say I actually attended this workshop that Brittney had hosted last year in Waynesburg, and it helped me get into my dream graduate school. So thank you so much, and I really appreciate it.
See, y'all can do it. I felt really bad because I think I was like sitting on top of the desk during the presentation because I'm like, it's hot. Like, let's just hang out. All right, y'all. So I think we're basically at time, but please feel free to reach out to me if you want to chat. I'm happy to hop on a Zoom again, or if you're done with Zoom, we can do phone call, email, whatever you prefer. So I look forward to hearing from everyone, and have a great day. I'll stop sharing now.
Thank you so
Bye,
much.
y'all.